episode of Public Opinion with your hosts, Pam and Vanetta. Hello. And we are back here in the studio. Vanetta, I'm so happy that you were able to come to the studio today.
I moved heaven and earth to be here.
Oh,
today.
I'm so happy. I appreciate that. I really like this, okay? We are moving up in the world. I just want to thank everyone who has subscribed. We have met our 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. So we have reason to celebrate. We're going to continue on and push so that we can continue to make great content and bring you wonderful subject matter and just enjoy ourselves. So I am so happy. I'm happy to be in this season. This is May, it's spring. And okay.
It's beautiful today.
It is.
In Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, in Cleveland. We talked on our last show about traveling. And so we have done some travel. At least I have. I went to D.C. and I went to a graduation, and Vanetta and I are going to be talking in our tea time about the graduation season. But I traveled. I went to D.C. I still have a lot of vacations coming up. Vanetta, you just came back.
What? Yeah, I came back on Thursday, which is yesterday, from Miami after my son's graduation. I traveled to Dayton, Ohio, and then to Miami, Florida.
Lovely Dayton, Ohio. And then you went to Miami, where, I think a lot of things happen in Miami. Miami is sort of like Vegas, where what happens so I have seen some things in Miami, especially South Beach.
That's where we were at in South Beach. You see some outfits that like, oh my God. Yeah. But one thing, you always come back feeling like, I look pretty good.
Okay, you look pretty good. And so, that brings us to our subject this week. We are going to be talking about, spring is sprung and keeping alive and being happy and doing things that you want to do. And so what we have this week is a guest, and she's going to be talking about her relationship with her husband. And what makes it a little bit more unique is the fact that she is older than her husband by more than 10 years. And she's going to tell us exactly how long, and we're going to be asking her questions about this, because I'm fascinated by that. I'm really fascinated.
We're going to get into this today.
Right, we're going to get into it. So we don't want to belabor it, because we want to really get into this conversation. So let's meet our guest for this week. We have Vanetta Nia Clarke. Nia is a Cleveland native, wife, and mother of 4. She also is a nana of 4 and has a granddoggy and a grandkitty. She enjoys spending time with family, travel, and vlogging. Nia has a channel on YouTube where she shares her personal life struggles and successes, weight loss journey, and gives tried and true advice to help people shift their mindset by applying small changes in their thinking and outlook in order to achieve a more satisfying life experience. Nia is married to DeMontalius Clarke, and she's gonna tell us about their relationship, and we can't wait to hear all about it. So let's welcome Nia. Well, thank you, Nia, first of all, for agreeing to be a participant and a guest on our show this week. And you are our only guest, so you are in the hot seat, but also don't even worry, because you know what? Everything, we're all family.
It's all love.
It's all about love. And we do have some questions, because there are people who probably would wonder, well, okay, why, what attracts an older woman to a younger man? And especially when it's a great deal of years that's in between. So first of all, this would not be the public opinion show if we didn't ask her a public opinion question of the week. So the question is, what are the joys and challenges of being married to a younger man or dating a younger man? So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to answer that, and so take it away.
Oh my. So we want to start with the challenges. The challenges, and we'll get to the age difference in a moment, but being the age difference as it is, there are great challenges. Sometimes the intellectual needs are not met to my standard, the way I would like, because I'm a talker, and you have to get me, to be there with me. And if that doesn't happen enough for me, I get a little discontented. So that is my biggest challenge, more than anything else. The joys, I'm a naturally youthful person, regardless of how old I get. I'm just naturally youthful. And so I didn't want someone who was, age wasn't really a factor, but it was the whole disposition. Like, if you're too serious, if you're too, I don't want to feel like I can't be silly and act a certain way without you, what are you acting that way for? Because I've been there. So that's the joy, being able to be myself completely. having some, with the measure of energy to pick me up and throw me across the room like Tarzan.
Okay.
So that's a joy. And at the same time, the fact that there is the age gap doesn't come between us still getting each other to an extent that keeps us both happy.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
We still,
All right. So I do want to know, first of all, how old are you?
I am 56 years old.
Okay, 56. And Vanetta is 60, and I'll be 60 in September. So we're about the same age.
Yeah.
Now, how old is your husband? And his nickname is Meech.
His nickname is
So how old is Meech?
Meech just turned 31 years old.
Oh my goodness. So that is what's that math? Because I'm not good with math. But that's like 25 years almost.
25 plus.
Oh, Lord.
Girl, you bad. Give me some.
So we have like so many questions.
So many. Let me have the first one.
Yes.
Where did you meet?
Yeah, I'm sure. A friend of mine, I'm a singer, and we were doing a rehearsal. One of the other guys that was also a singer. And sadly, the night of the rehearsal, after we'd all gone home, he passed away unexpectedly. And it devastated me. I was just beyond devastated. So anyway, the funeral 2 weeks later, I'm at the funeral and we're all, at the repast. And I'm doing my vlogging like I always do, taking family pictures and pictures to remember. And there's this guy that's in just about every frame. I'm like, who's this guy? And why is he in every one of my frames? Well, that was who is now my husband. I didn't know he was eyeballing me. And ironically, he is the nephew of my friend that passed away that I never known anything about at all. And so we were in line. My husband's 6'4", 300 pounds. And we were in line and we swapped numbers in line to make a long story short.
He picked you up at the funeral.
What? Okay, now I was in line. The viewing line?
Get some chicken.
Oh, the repast. That was like a repast.
Get some chicken.
It was like, can I help you with that? Okay.
I can help you later tonight.
We were in line because people there that I didn't know, other musicians, other singers, were introducing everybody.
That is hilarious.
So he started texting me little things, you're beautiful, and da-da. And so it kind of went from there. My mother was with me, so he walked my mother to the car. So of course I saw that for what it is. Like, you're going to really walk my mom to the car.
Oh.
Okay. Because he was interested. And so
just play her hand on.
It kind of took off from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, how long ago was that?
This was mid-January of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then you got married when?
We got married in September 26th of 2020.
Now, let me ask you this. Just on first blush, did he look young to you?
He looked young, but if you see my husband and I together, you would not think that we're that far apart. He didn't look like baby face young because he's got a full beard. So, and then, his size, and his height.
So did you know his age when he gave you his number or whatever?
So, not when he gave me not when we initially started, but during those initial conversations is within a couple of days, I knew his age. Whoa. And so we're talking now, mind you, let me go back a little bit.
Okay.
I've been single for 5 years purposely prior to him. And I'm all, God, send me this guy, that guy. That's what you want for me. I want him to be tall and I want him to be adventurous and fun and not some old acting guy, just all these things. So I'm looking at this like, I'm going to fill it out, see if this is an answer to my prayer, so to speak. So at 3 weeks out, it occurred to me, this guy never asked how old I am. And so I asked him. I said, it never occurred to me that you never asked. And his response was, I guess it just doesn't matter to me. And then I found from his family that he prefers older women. Now, I'm the oldest woman he's ever dated. The one before me.
Yeah, I'm about to say he ain't had that many years on. At that time, that was what, after high school. He was like 27 then, right? Or 26, 27. So, he had that many about
He did know what he liked.
He knew what he liked.
Okay. One thing you must know about my husband, he's a very old soul. He's Johnny Taylor. Like, he likes people I don't like. Older music. Okay. And we'll sing it word for word. Like, it's in his soul. He does all of our cooking. He cooks like my grandmother.
Really?
But
he's 31.
He just happens to be younger.
Now, my question, now he's 31.
Yes.
Now, you have 4 children.
I have 3 biological children and then one his son is my bone.
Okay.
Child.
So now, how old are your biological children?
They're older than my husband.
So all three of them. Okay, the plot thickens. Okay. So all three. So you want mind just saying their ages?
No,
okay.
not at all. My son is 38.
Okay.
The girls are 31 and 32.
Okay. 38, 31, 32, and all of them are older than your husband.
Yes. They call him bro dad.
What did bro dad? I love bro dad. Oh my God! So your children are very progressive, and so. But what did they think about it initially?
Well, I'm glad you asked because they weren't always, of course, the side eye. Okay. So my son, being my son, pulled him aside. Hey, let me talk to you. Mm-hmm. What's your intentions? He had that talk with my husband. Take care of my mom, this and that. And then I think my husband had to grow on them because they were trying to gather what his motive was.
Suspicious. That makes sense. And boys especially.
Yes. Yeah.
Girls do approach it, I think, more with a loving heart, but suspicious.
Yes. And that's exactly where they were. And then the more time they spent around him, the more time we all spent, even with his family, believe it or not, they were wondering like, what are you doing with him?
Yeah, you come to, I have a 30-year-old son. You come to the door, I'd have slammed it.
Okay. I like, what were y'all out doing? Okay, what if she got a lot of money? People might look at her like there's some
are you a sugar mama? That's what
a sugar mama or something to that effect.
And what's crazy is I didn't see this. It's like it fell out of the sky. It seriously. I feel like God. There's so much there that we can get into. Then we found out that we have a joint relative, and where his first cousin has children by my mother's first cousin's son. So their children are both of our blood relatives.
Really?
So, yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
That's interesting. Now, you talked a little bit about some of the challenges, and one of them you said was some intellectual, maybe conversations, maybe that you want to have with him that he may not be able to fully participate in. So how much of a challenge do you find that as being?
Maybe like 30%, something like that. Because there are times, being the person I am, I just want to vent or have someone that really, not just complain or just, I need you to listen, but I need the feedback too on the level that I need it on.
And you mean like more or less from a life experience type of
experience, you know what I mean? And I have to understand that, he doesn't, he can't always meet me there.
He can't always relate.
He can't always relate. Which, but it makes me come back to me that, yes, I didn't expect things, expect such a significant difference for a husband. But here we are, right?
Yeah.
Neither one of us are going anywhere. So it's like, okay, how do you deal with that? You can't, demonize him because he's not there. And he can't demonize you.
Right.
Well, I have a 31-year-old daughter-in-law and a 30-year-old son. And I was saying, I'm so sad today. Burt Bacharach passed away. Yeah. And they were like, Burt Bacharach, who is that? Yeah. And for me, it was a sad day. Yeah. For them, they had no idea.
So many things that I could see if I was dating somebody younger, I might bring up and they might say, well, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Or, and then, but I don't know. I don't consider myself to be old.
Yeah. But you do have the experiences of a 60-year-old.
Right, I have experiences of a 60-year-old woman.
But at the same token, I give him much credit because he always tries to meet me there. He always tries, even when he knows he really can't. You know what I mean? And so I'm more vocal about things that bother me, much more vocal. He's not. So I'm sure there's a lot of things about me, you know what I mean, that drive him just up a wall like that.
But do you think they have anything to do with age?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And having been married before me, sometimes I think I have unrealistic expectations at times. And I've had to kind of talk to myself about that, like that's not fair, he's never been married, he doesn't, you know what I mean? And so that pulls me off a little bit because, being the person I am, sometimes I can be that way.
Yeah, okay, so he's never been married, you said.
No.
But he has a child with from another relationship, obviously. So now, again, how does that, it didn't make you feel some kind of way that your son and your children are older than him? I mean, how did it, and then this is just for me. Yeah. My son will be 33. And he has, obviously friends that are his age. He got some good looking friends.
Yeah.
He got one that's really good.
Oh yeah, right. But it's not like I feel any kind of. I mean, obviously physical. And I look upon all of his friends as they are, as his friends, and not kids, but children.
Son like
like son,
Yeah.
like sons.
But what's
Yeah.
interesting is I still do that. Like I would look at him as a nephew.
Uh-huh.
I would look at. I still do that, but just for my husband, the way things fell, it's just different. Like I wasn't, you know what I mean. And I don't apologize, but I just wasn't expecting something that different. And I think being single for 5 years, because I've never been single. I'm gonna be honest about it, never. So being single.
And when you say you've never been, you mean not in a relationship, or you mean not married?
I hadn't been single. Well, not married. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, I hadn't been married or anything in a serious relationship for so long.
Okay.
And it's like, Mike, the singer, he passed away. So I even thought to myself, well, is this a result of trauma? Is this a result of being crushed, because of his death? And then knowing that that's his nephew, that's that connection. You know what I mean? That was something that I had to think about and be honest with myself. Like, is this why?
Or is it
Mike so much?
But is it that God put the circumstances in place?
That says, and I like to hang on that.
The blessing.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different things that.
Yeah. So does he make you feel youthful?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Because and that's what I'm wondering. Also, does he bring out your youthfulness? And that's why we're gonna get into a discussion about sex.
Because every time is window dressing.
But I'm seriously, because it's like I have a relationship. I've been married to my husband for longer than your husband is age.
Is that necessary to say?
No, I'm just saying I've been married for almost 30. I don't even know how long I've been married.
You've been married 36 years.
Yeah, I've been married 36 years.
And you look good. You don't even like 36
but we have a 36-year relationship. So obviously,
But wait a minute. Before you go any further. She picked her husband up almost at the funeral.
No, I met him at a wedding reception.
You on your first date after his mother's funeral.
Well, no, our first date was at he took me on a picnic and he brought food from his mother's funeral repast. But why you got to talk about that? We ain't talking about that. But
That's where to get a man at a funeral.
Anyway. I just know that after a while, and this is a discussion we're going to have on future shows, but about menopause and sometimes your sex drive isn't as high. And I'm like, if he's 30, I'm like, unless there's something wrong with him, I know he's like, I'm ready.
We're going to get right into the sex.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just like, I don't even know if I'm physically capable of being with a man that young.
I like a good night's sleep. Personally.
Yeah, I like to go to sleep.
And let's just keep it real. I have a healthy sex drive.
Okay.
Well,
that helps.
That definitely helps. So, and I have a yes.
Okay, so that's not a problem.
Is he doing some stuff that you never did before?
Actually, he's not.
Oh, are you teaching?
Oh, yeah. But she got the experience.
Okay, I had the experience, but my husband. Can you say the word freak on?
A freak? You can say freak.
My husband's a little. He's
a little freak.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And that's okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
And experimental, so you can
hang with that. And then I think that's important.
And I have to think about it some days. Like you've been here before. Like he's been here before, truly. So there's.
So I think that helps in that respect because absolutely. Let's just face it. If you all got together and because you're a young 56, I will say, because how some people are an old 56. They're
old at any age.
Health-wise, they old. But you don't strike. You're younger. You still have that youthfulness, and you talked about that. You said sometimes people look at because you said you're a vlogger and everything. And you said sometimes people look at you and they're like, why are you doing that? Are you trying to be something else? And so you want to talk about that and the fact that you just embrace life. And he's part of this life that you're embracing.
Absolutely. And that's why I created my YouTube channel. That's the whole reason I created the channel because during my the 5 years, I went through a whole lot. I'll put it that way. It was, a lot of things that had to happen for me, like cleansing and spiritual and all these different things I found out about myself, and I decided, but I still love life. I had to pick myself back up and get back out there, you know what I mean? And just really, really stay in the race as much as I possibly could. And so part of that was to stop being so much of a people pleaser.
Yes.
And I love my mom, but my mother, we had some tension when I was growing up. Compared to the other two siblings. So I was always like, whatever you need for me to do.
You're doing stuff, but and
that's approval.
And that's common with women.
We all, no matter how old you get, you always want your mother's approval.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But then that trickled down to other people, feeling like I wasn't good enough. Yeah. Just different things. So I had to start saying, you know what, no, we're going to embrace this person, and as I started embracing who I really am, realizing I'm not hurting or offending anybody, I started enjoying life more. Yes, I'm silly. Yes, I'm goofy. Yeah. Yes, I like other people's music, as they say. Music is music. I don't have to like R&B to be a black person. I don't have to, what do you mean you don't like R&B? You're black. Yeah, okay. My ex was white. Okay, whatever. So what? Yeah. So now that those layers started to shed, and I started to feel like, okay, I can enjoy. Like it's okay now. I don't have to be a certain way.
And that's good, because you may not have been able to really fully embrace this relationship if you were still caught up in what other people might think. Because a lot of people wouldn't do that just because they would be like, people are going to be talking about me and all of that.
I mean, to go back there, I sort of was still hinging on that because that was significant. I dated younger guys before, but that was significant. So one day I just said, I'm going to put it on Facebook as an experiment. I'm just going to put it out there. And his father passed away, rest his soul, a couple years ago. He was the one I was worried about the most. Do you know he saw that picture, shared the picture to his audience, and said, I'm so happy for my son and some other stuff. And I was like floored, so all this time I'm like so
you were scared.
They were happy because their son is happy. I found somebody who really makes him happy and is helping him grow.
Yeah.
So
But that, you know what? And then in I was doing a little research on this whole subject, and there's it's not that uncommon. And I actually found a lot of famous women who are married to younger men. And seriously, and I didn't know. And I'm gonna read some of these people. The Bridget Macron, and she is the wife of French President Emmanuel Macron. They have a 24-year age difference. And then Julianne Moore, the actress, Julianne Moore, she is married to a younger man, and they have a 9-year age difference. And Lisa Bonet, I didn't know Lisa Bonet was. She's married to Jason Momoa.
Yeah,
it's an 18 year.
He said he used to watch her on the Cosby Show. I love her.
Now see, okay, now that's actually hilarious. Okay, I'm fine watching my wife. Okay, and Tina Turner, there's a 16-year age difference between her and her husband, and Katie Couric. They have, and John Moeller, there's a 7-year age difference. Wow. And then, there's a actress, Sam Taylor Johnson and Aaron Taylor. That's from 50 Shades of Grey. 23-year difference.
Oh, she's older.
Yes. See? And Joan Collins, she takes the cake. 32 years was between her, and Hugh Jackman and his wife.
Hugh Jackman is who I was.
Deborah Lee Furness is her name. There's a 13-year age difference. And and then there's that Gabrielle Union.
Yes.
And
Dwayne Wade.
I didn't know that, a 10-year age difference. So it's just not that uncommon. We always hear of men being older. Yeah. And a lot of times
it's well accepted. And it's a social norm.
Right. Yeah. But whenever it's a woman, it's almost like you want to look at the woman like, well, is she a cougar? Is something wrong with her? He's either using her or something is up.
And the bottom line is, like my husband always says, love who you love. That's his phrase. Love who you love. And again, I was more worried than anybody else. He didn't care. He's like, I do not care. Yep. Love who you love.
And that's a wonderful way to end this, because it all comes down to, first of all, it comes down to you like who you like. Mm-hmm. Right. This is your life. People don't have a right to judge you based upon the decisions that you make. Mm-hmm. And you love who you love. And that is for me, and Vanetta and I have had all kinds of shows about this, and for us, it's like men, women, you know, whatever
Love.
you love is love, and it's universal. So thank you so much, though, for joining us, Nia. You know, and Nia is my clerk also, and I just love Nia. She's loyal and she's a great worker, and I am so happy that you came on the show. So thank you.
Thank you. Did such a great job.
Yeah. Oh, did you enjoy her?
That was hot.
I thought that was so. I mean, she really put a lot of things in great perspective.
Extremely sincere.
Yeah.
I mean, she wanted us to understand her situation.
Right.
Because it's not everybody.
It's not everybody. And this is her story, and that's her life. Where for some people, that just isn't going. Like, I know for myself, at least right now where I am now, like if something were to happen to my husband, I just don't see myself with a much younger man.
Right.
Maybe a couple years, but 25 years is a lot. But she really made it so that you understood this is their relationship. She has a youthfulness about her. He has an old soul. So to me, it kind of, you know, they come more together.
But what I would say, too, is what she gave permission to a woman who kind of likes a man and he's younger.
Yeah.
To go ahead. It's all right.
You know what?
Grab
Grab that brass ring.
Right.
While it's spinning around. Before you're too old, you just fall off the damn horse. Okay.
No, the ring is your wheelchair.
I'm going to grab something. I'm going to grab onto somebody on the way down. Yeah. But yeah, I like that.
She did a nice job. And like I said, it gave permission. Now, for me, the sex thing is still an issue.
Yeah. Although I think I might have to step up my game a little bit. Okay. I'm like, I'm gonna try to do some stuff.
Okay.
I'm gonna look into some things.
All right. But doing them polls in your bedroom.
Right. But if you enjoyed this conversation and if you enjoy our show, continue to follow us on YouTube as well as Facebook. And we will see you next time for another episode of Public Opinion. Bye.